Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, a podcast about leaving self-doubt in the dust, punching fear in the face, and taking bold action toward your biggest dreams. I'm Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hey there, everybody, and welcome to Permission to Kick Ass. Today with me is my friend Monika Zasada. And I love Monika's story because she is actually in the renovation in the building industry, which I think is fascinating and amazingly creative. I mean, just take a look around at any number of renovation, flip or flop, all the building shows that are out there, and you can see how many moving parts there are, and it's about more than just the designing. And I love the creative problem solving aspect about this. So welcome, Monika.
Well, thank you, Angie. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited to be sharing my story and and the creativity that's required in the field. I would say creativity and thick skin sometimes, because construction is predominantly a male field of playing. So as a woman, as a woman with an accent, I am known to raise an eyebrow, a male eyebrow or two. It is not absolutely to criticize men. This is how it is. This is how building industry is. But
I feel you, because when I started, it's evening out a little bit more. But when I started in the copywriting and marketing industry, it was pretty much the same. Like women were definitely in the minority. It was very male dominated. So I hear you. I feel you. It's no disrespect to our male counterparts, but man, it's really weird when you're outnumbered on such a significant level.
That's right. Men, we love you. We love you, men.
Absolutely.
But I do feel that, don't you feel, Angie, that time now is like very much the era of a woman?
Mm-hmm. I do feel a great big shift from how I started and kind of the attitudes that were prevalent then versus it feels a lot more open now. And accepting of the female perspective or female identified perspective. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it is important to be doing what is also of importance to you. So as someone who grew up and was educated in a communist Poland, I grew up in an apartment that is, now the size of some dining tables of my private clients. We only had a two-room called the small room and the big room. And there were, ultimately there were 4 children, but we came thankfully in 2 batches, which was helpful. My grandparents lived with me. So for instance, my grandfather would sleep on a military cot that we would unfold every evening. So my life, there is a thread in my life which has a lot to do with home, with the idea of home, which is so deeply rooted in the system of my needs. I do need a home, and I am obsessed with the concept of home, even from all different angles as to what it means to us. So I don't want to, even for the woo-woo people, right? Everybody recognizes that a home is a shelter. Mm-hmm. So like the most delicious feeling for me is being home, listening to the howling wind outside and the heavy drops of rain on the window pane, and it's just divine to be safe, to be dry, to be warm, right? Then for there is a more let's say elevated concept of home, which is sort of our showcase. So we do. I do love homes well lived and homes authentically representing of what it is that we are. So that's sort of like the second layer of the home. First was the shelter, the second one was the showcase, and then there is like this most esoteric but perhaps the deepest meaning of home, which is the place of our emotional and spiritual calibration. It is we all know, we can get naked in the shower and sing off key. And this is how I feel about how the home should be. Mm-hmm. It should be something that is a place when you can be totally yourself And when you can gain or regain or rediscover every day, because it is a process of rediscovering, which is the equanimity, the balance, the the sense of peace. So it is perhaps a little funny that I ended up doing what I'm doing, because I was meant to be a teacher of American literature.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So I was offered a position by a person who was my mentor for my master thesis. And I just thought, it would be so silly to be teaching the literature of the country I never visited. So Poland was just becoming like a free market economy. It was possible to come. The ticket was, the equivalent of a down payment for a house. So I very quickly translated a fascinating book, How to Live with Irritable Bowel Syndrome, from English to Polish, drinking copious amounts of coffee, and was able to get money for the ticket. I came to the US through Vienna because I had an international student's license, and I got some fabulous discounts to arrive here. And I was really meant to be here for 6 months and then, go back and teach and, have an academic career, literary academic career. So what on earth am I doing, in the dirt of the, in the delicious dirt, because, there is a lot of deliciousness in the dirt of construction industry. So I know this podcast is meant to help other entrepreneurs with, what was the journey, what made me do what I'm doing, and how I even evolved in my journey within construction industry. So I started with a general contractor who was then based in a basement, and I was instrumental in helping him build his company into a multi-million-dollar company.
Wow.
So I have to tell you, again, as a woman with an accent and someone who is obsessed, like my other obsession is optimizing everything. So if there is something that you can do within a day instead of a week, I am going to pursue it. So I was very well organized, and when we were pricing things, I was put I was responsible for getting the pricing, and a lot of men was like, how can she be so pushy? I mean, yes, okay. So she did say that it is, it is due by Friday, but listen, it's only Monday. So yes, I am late, I am 2 days late. So that was a funny part of that. And like how, again, men would be thinking, does she have a right? Does she have a right to be doing it? Because she's a woman and she's so new and she's so green. But construction industry and bringing homes to life or renovating them or adding to them is a process. And you see, this is how I came up with curatorship of home construction. Now, everybody tells you that your clients, your ideal audience or your clients don't really care what your business is. So my business is curatorship of home construction, and I will explain in a second what it is. But who cares? It is like, hey, what can you do for me?
Yeah.
So I essentially take the typical horrors of home renovating or building out. And I concluded through my extensive career in construction, which is, more than 15 years. It is more than 15 years, but I'm saying like in a creative and decisive role, let's say it's 15 years, I recognized that there is a need to educate homeowners about the whole process. Because think about it, Angie, our homes are one of the biggest, if not the biggest investments of our lives. Not just financially, but emotionally. So, of course, anything to do with them is going to bring emotions, and very, very strong ones. There is so much at stake.
For sure.
So we are not prepared emotionally. And I say we because even though I am a curator of construction projects, it is not a theoretical practice for me. It's very, very personal. Because I can tell you, Angie, that when I was renovating my home, and by then I was in construction industry for about 7 years, I knew exactly what will happen. I was adding the second floor to my house. I knew that half of my roof will be gone, and yet, and I was excited. Yet when I pulled into my driveway and I saw half of my roof gone, I burst out sobbing. Oh, no. I didn't even know what it was. I had been so excited.
We love watching other people's drama. Like you can see that in the proliferation of all these home improvement shows.
That's right.
Love it. But when it happens to us, that takes it to a whole other level of just personal torment almost. So I love everything you're saying. I want to take you back for a second because I think we kind of glossed over this and I want to dig into it because it sounded really juicy.
Let's dig.
So you talked about coming here from Poland and how you were going to be a teacher of literature and go back to your country. And I want to know about how you got into construction in the first place. And I think this is really interesting because I think they'll get a lot from why you fell in love with that, why you stayed in it. And then we can learn more about how you curate this.
So you see, I was at this crossroad thinking, should I stay or should I go back to Poland? And at that point, I was a governess. And a lot of my friends were saying, you lost your mind. You should go back to Poland because a lot of American companies were coming to Poland. And I then spoke English with a perfect British accent. They say, oh my God, you should go back to Poland. You should be on TV. What are you doing? Wasting your talent. So I was in this horrible place thinking, geez, I have master's degree in American literature. I am a governess. Where should I go from here? So that it was a party, a New Year's party, where the general contractor was present. And I remember being asked by other people, New Year's Eve, what are your resolutions? So they were saying, well, what do you want? What do you want? And I just blurted out, like I do like to think things through, but it just came out. And I said, I want a challenge and I don't want this to have anything to do with children until I have my own, which I don't to this day. And then, the contractor, Greg, said to me, why don't you come and work with me? And I was thinking, I just burst out laughing because I was thinking, what do I know about construction? Mm-hmm. But he told me that he recognized, the fact that, I am a thinking person, an educated one, and actually it was a plus, the fact that I didn't have any preconceived notions about building industry because I just came to it with a completely fresh, blank mind.
I love that. And I'm going to interject here because I just want to stress it for everybody that's listening. I'm glad that that's sticking in your memory. And I think that the reason it is sticking in your memory so vividly is a lot of us stop ourselves before we even get started on something because we think, I don't have enough. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough qualifications. And right there, he took that doubt completely out. Like, who am I to be in construction? And he turned that into a benefit to him. Well, you're coming in with fresh eyes and you can see stuff that I'm too jaded to even recognize anymore. So of course your perspective is valuable, even though you're brand new. I love that. So keep going.
Exactly. And, and sometimes in what we are doing, we are so deep into that, we are no longer able to see it from, 10 feet above. People from other walks of lives are sometimes the sources of the most illuminating perspectives. Mm-hmm. So I noticed, Angie, that there were two huge problems that were ultimately hurting not just homeowners, but everybody in the building industry, including the design professionals, whether it's an architect or a home designer or an interior designer, whatever you want to call that design, function, and then the executors of the intended work, which is general contractors, builders, trades, right? Mm-hmm. Material suppliers. So the two big, I concluded that the two big problems was the lack of comprehensive and unbiased knowledge that would also include our emotions that we have around home, which is which should be acknowledged, which should be recognized, which should be addressed when we are facing, again, another a pretty traumatic and very complex project, such as the construction of our home. That's one problem. The lack of knowledge and education for us homeowners, not just technical, but again, the emotional part, right? And financial, of course. And the second one is that the building industry and its practices are nonsensical to me. They are nonsensical because, wow, I've said it.
I love that. I love how blunt it is, because I think there's the same problem in business with people that start out too. Like, I don't understand any of this. Okay, well, you'll pick it up as you go, and then you'll make leaps in your own understanding, and then decide that some of this doesn't make any sense and you're going to completely ignore it. And some of this makes sense, but you want to simplify it. So like, I love the parallels here. Keep going.
Totally. I want to simplify it. Or again, my obsession is optimizing. So I am looking at the process, and I've seen for years and years how the process of the building industry is actually positioning everybody at odds. So the architects meet the client first. It's like it's a marvelous time. They create, they talk about things, and then the competitive bidding process starts. And usually no one wants to invest in a full-fledged for construction set of plans, complete with specifications down to the grout color of your tile.
Oh, wow.
That is when competitive bidding would make sense, but it's a huge cost. So what is being done is an architect contacts, competitive bidders. And again, no thought is being given to, let it be the bidders of the same caliber. So if it's a big construction company, yes, you will have to pay more money because they have a bigger overhead. They are more established. Or you can have a young, an upcoming person. And I said men because I haven't really met female contractors yet. Okay, so it's a he. So and he could have an office and no assistant and nobody in his pickup truck, which is also fine. But why do competitive bidding with people from such different companies? When you go to shop for clothes, you can go to a posh boutique, you can go to a department store, or you can go to a second-hand store. So you will end up with clothes, but your experience will be different.
Yes.
So competitive bidding on the basis of what is called for pricing drawings is nonsensical, because so much, Angie, is left out of this set of plans. For construction, set of plans can have hundreds of pages. For pricing, set of plans has a floor plan, interior elevations, if that, and exterior elevations.
Wow.
So if people are invited for competitive bidding, they know all you care about is the bottom line. So they are going to artificially lower it. They are going to be interpreting the drawings as showing the least amount of work. And who is it hurting?
The customer, obviously.
Correct.
Yeah.
As homeowners, right? So in my curatorship, and again, this is where the entrepreneurial, spirit, or the, and I don't even, I did share before that, am I entrepreneur? What am I? Who am I? So I don't know whether it's entrepreneurial or it's creativity. And if entrepreneurship is equaling creativity, then I guess it is.
I think you absolutely are both. And the reason why I love that word entrepreneur, I wrote like a whole manifesto on it. It's crazy. But because, in some aspects, people associate creativity with dreaming, which is great. You have to dream big. You have to be able to see the vision to execute it. But the other half of that creative nature is the doing. And that's the French root word of entrepreneur, which is to do or bring about. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want to work with, the dreamers who also do. And I love that you brought up this competitive bidding process, because I see a similar process sometimes happening in, like I work with a lot of freelance writers, for instance, who would turn around a proposal and get some pushback from a client in a similar way, or clients would go out to several freelancers and kind of play them off each other. Well, so-and-so gave me a quote for this. First of all, that's a dick move. Don't work with clients that do that. And second, it's this idea that you brought up, which I think is prevalent in so many different aspects of business, that we're at competitive odds and that we're not necessarily working together, and that like for one of us to win, the other one has to lose. For me to feel satisfied, you have to feel unsatisfied. It doesn't have to be that way. That's
Correct.
why I love your vision, because that makes it a win-win situation for both the homeowner and the people that are bringing this vision to life. And
Absolutely.
I love collaboration like that. I love it. I think that's the way forward in business.
Thank you. It's exactly my sentiment. It's collaboration over competition. Again, the competition is not even healthy. It's based on fallacy. That's why I perceive it as nonsensical. And now I also, because the pushback I get is like, oh well, without competitive bidding, you cannot really secure the best price. So now I am like, hey, stop there.
But you're not even securing the best price.
You are not securing, well, one. But I mean, even if I were to just say, okay, you're right, competitive, it's the best price. I want to stress that I am extremely money conscious. I came to this country with the whopping fortune of $10.
Ooh.
I love finding creative and smart ways to spend money. And the home is the vessel of our money. Let's spend it, okay, based on what is most important for you. And with any projects, there are three organizing components. It is the budget, it is the quality, or it is the schedule. And whatever you put in the first line is going to then have impact on the rest of the remaining two. And any plans can be made to accommodate that. So I am against nonsensical, competitive, time-wasting, because it's also time-wasting, practices. I prefer in the curatorship for the clients, for the clients that I help, to bring the appropriate architect and a contractor in pre-construction at the same time to co-create. Because it addresses two major problems that people have with architects that they shared with me, which is, I am so afraid that the architect is going to just go on some tangent and come up with a design that will have nothing to do with how I want my home, and also it will be not buildable or too much money. With the contractor at their side, at the same time when the design decisions are being made, the contractor is commenting, this is silly, that makes no sense, or wow, this living room cantilevered, on the second floor is very sexy. FYI, you just added $35,000 in constructions in structural steel. So there is this co-creation, and it's like
that.
It's fantastic. And also everybody is then creating to some disclosed budget. Why would you not say, listen, I only have $200,000 to go through nonsensical competitive bidding and get 57,000 bid, 217,000 bid, because of all these, bidders not coming from the same leveled playing field.
Well, and I think your heart and your vision is totally this is me fully admitting that I know nothing about construction. So I'm just pulling all of this out of thin air, but it seems to make sense to me, especially since, I've bought homes in the past, I've sold homes in the past. I'm interested in having a house someday, but I'm currently in Airbnbs. You know my situation. Everybody knows my situation. I don't care about the best price. I care that when the job is done, it's to my satisfaction and it's not going to fall apart. And I care about those things because of that drama that we mentioned at the beginning of the episode. I've seen too many shows of Mike Holmes on Homes, where he goes in and fixes contractor jobs done wrong because they cheaped out in the exact wrong place. I don't care about the best price. I care about the best price for the work that I wanted done. And I think your way, I think, is the way to get there, where it's informed decision-making versus I'm just trying to win this project to get my business on the radar, and then I'm going to pump up the budget after we get in there and see what it really needs.
which is exactly what happens. So I recognize the need, to correct these two huge mistakes. Again, lack of knowledge. And you said, you admit I don't really know. But if you have a team of an architect and a contractor that are united by the same goal, okay, they are going to also educate you. It will be an educational process as well. They will have your best interest at heart. They will not be, rolling their eyes. Oh, here she comes again. Yes, so that is how I kind of poured my creativity into that, because again, like I said before, the home is just like this. I need it. I need the home. I need the place. I need the roots. I need a place to put my beloved books and to get naked whenever I want to, and to put weird stuff in my home. I have a black metal chair that I remember I was kind of hunting for some great pieces, conversational pieces, right? I like to have something that people in an awkward moment in a cocktail party, they look and they say, "Oh my goodness, what is that?" And then the conversation flows. It's just fantastic. So I was looking for something with character, and I spotted this metal chair. It is again metal and black, and sort of very, you sit very upright in it. No man wants to sit in it. They are saying, "Oh, geez, Monika, the only thing missing is like a metal cage to be electrocuted when sitting on it." I love this chair. It's like it is a character, and it has this swivel seat. So the chair is upright and metal, but you can just kind of swivel and have a conversation. I love it. So so it's kind of strange that America. So the thread through my life of like three themes, I would say. So it's books. Like I could, if I had to choose movies, music, or books, I would give up music and movies, even though I love both for books. So there is the thread of books, and then the importance and this visceral attachment, because it's very visceral attachment to home. So isn't it funny that, I wonder, was it, to what a degree have I created that? And to what a degree it was just, meant. I don't want to be woo-woo. How is it, there was a reason why I end up in that field.
Yeah, I'm not super woo-woo myself, but I don't know what I believe specifically. I think that, one, I don't think human beings are the smartest beings in the universe, because if we are, well, then we're just doomed. As a species, we tend to be pretty self-destructive. So say what you will about that. I don't profess to understand whatever the higher power is. I don't know if it's God, Jesus, Moses, the flying spaghetti monster, take your pick. Zeus on Olympus, who cares? I think that we wind up where we're supposed to be at the time we're meant to be there, with the knowledge that we needed to have in order to get there. I've come to believe over time that if we're trying something and it's really, really hard, and we're having to overcome obstacle after obstacle after obstacle just to get to where we think we need to be, maybe that's a sign from the universe that that's not the path you need to be on right now. Because I've learned over time in growing my own business that the things that I'm attracted to that are easiest for me, like I have that talent and that skill for a reason. Maybe I'm meant to go do something with that instead of making up this alternate reality that business looks like this. I need to be over here doing this hard thing because business is hard and it's complicated. When I let go of the idea that business had to be really hard and complicated, and that I could just talk about what I love, get really good at that, talk to people I like talking to, and then work with them and help them do things, like, wow, I suddenly had this whole room for just loving what I do in a way that I didn't even know was possible before. But I had to come there in my own time, kind of like you said, like just wacky steps that I never could have predicted. I didn't know that copywriting was even a thing when I accidentally discovered it. And then I became an expert at it over time. Like, it's crazy.
It's so funny that you mentioned like, we are attached to like, oh, this is what the business should be like. Oh, I should be the CEO of the company and I should have 500 people working for me on in a 10-story building. it's funny that you should say that, because I realized, and I remember I was telling you, I feel like it's the era of women, and also the pandemic have me realized how many, how many people need help beyond the very few that I have been serving. Mm-hmm. So I decided to actually, isn't that funny, Angie? I was supposed to teach American literature, and I decided to create a course. So not just do, done for you services with curatorship, right? But actually now teach. And which is like, it's sort of like touched my nerve when you say we are attached to a certain way the business is meant to be. So, hey, I think I will be able to help the most people teaching. Teaching will be my business. This is like sort of like the next evolution of my entrepreneurial journey.
And I think that there's a lot of people out there that have a need for that, or a very strong desire for that level of education, because they're coming to home ownership with certain, kind of like business, with certain ideas of what it should be like. And, going through that process of having a renovation and then experiencing everything that you just talked about, I would be like, okay, I can live in my little shitty shack. I don't want to deal with all of that. If I can't have my beautiful, like, property brothers just show up and be handsome and tall and gorgeous, and also make my house look amazing and gorgeous. If I can't be on the Property Brothers show, I don't know if I want it.
Yes.
You could make this ideal space, the space that just feels like, when you get home, without me having to tear out my hair or call in, a fixer to fix a renovation gone wrong, then, man, like, feeling like I have that knowledge, and it just feels empowering to hear you talk about that.
This is exactly that. It's really knowledge. Always education is empowerment. And I feel in this field, we, again, based on my numerous conversation in the few months with women, they said, we feel used. We feel used, and at worst patronized, at best patronized, at worst like taken advantage of. This is what I heard from women. So it's, again, and that's also, I think, Angie, important for us entrepreneurs, is like, we might have certain idea or concept, right? And then the reality, right, puts us on a slightly different trajectory. It would have never occurred to me to teach. Like, I would have never thought, teaching. But essentially, I have been doing that also alongside while working with private clients. But this will really be, this will be through education.
It's interesting how that came full circle, that you started out going to be a teacher and now you're winding up being a teacher again.
A teacher. Right? That's it. And I feel so excited, because as someone, I've been thinking also, in recent years, I don't have any children. And for a lot of people, children are their legacy. I feel that the homes that I will bring, that I will help bring to life, that will be brought to life in a collaborative, creative, co-creative and harmonious and fun, a lot of fun. I mean, I love humor and I love irreverence. So this will be my legacy. It makes me extremely excited. And I think this is what our journey as entrepreneurs in the ideal world should feel like. So these are my thoughts. And
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think, this whole creative exploration is a practice and an exercise in and of itself. Like, I started reading a book recently called The Artist's Way. I don't know if you are familiar with that or not.
No.
But there's this whole section at the beginning where she talks about just take some time first thing in the morning before you do anything else to write out 3 pages, long form, by hand, every day. It doesn't matter if all you write for 3 pages is "this sucks, it's a stupid idea," over and over and over again. The point is to give yourself permission to be creative and to let the ideas flow through you without stopping it and shutting it down before you've actually come across a legit reason to shut it down. Because we operate from that place of fear often, even in just the act of creating. If I don't get it perfect, it's not even worth practicing. If I can't make this vision that's in my head come to reality, what was the point of even trying? And I like the parallels between business and creativity, between the renovation and business. I see all of this as tying together in a lovely, like fluid way. I can see so many parallels happening because the practice is worth it. The messy parts are worth it. That's what gets you to the beautiful part that you're like, this is amazing.
And I love that you keep on sighing. Because
I don't have words for it, and I'm a writer. That's crazy.
It's crazy, right? But it only shows you how deep that is, that you can't, that it's impossible to even capture, and articulate this, this fusion of all these emotions. That's all you can say is, and it's like, yes, that's exactly what it should feel like.
No wonder you came home and cried when you saw your roof off. Like, it's just, there's so much heart and soul going into that. All right. This has been a fascinating conversation. I loved every bit of this. Monika, will you tell everybody a little bit more about where to find you on the internet?
Yes. The easiest way to find me is on my website, www.de-mazing.com. Demazing. Why demazing? Because, again, people kept on telling me, oh my goodness, my project feels like a maze. I don't know where to start. So I am the demazer. I am someone who, shows you the light and leads you out onto greener pastures or right into the housewarming party.
I love that because it's a couple levels too. It's almost like taking amazing to the next level.
Correct. I'm not just amazing. That's exactly what someone tells me. Well, listen, for your little elevator pitch, when you people, well, what do? You can say, well, you can demur and say, well, a lot of people are described as amazing. I am demazing, honey. So
that would get a lot of curiosity factor for sure.
Yes. And when you visit my site, there will be a pop-up and I have a free guide called 3 Must-Haves for successful home renovating or building that I poured my 15 plus years of knowledge in a very succinct. Remember, I am obsessed with optimization, so you are not going to get 60 pages. It's less than 60 pages, and it's a bit, a little warning. It is a bit irreverent because it has a little section where I am explaining what sex and construction have in common. And that is the response from someone who said, Monika, you talk about home and construction in any context. I bet you cannot possibly come up with what sex and construction have in common. Well, I proved them wrong. I also love to be right. So enjoy reading.
I can't believe the person that dared you to do that didn't see the obvious pun with nail. Come on. Or screw. Like, hello.
Screw.
The puns are all there. But it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We're going to have to do this again, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Angie.
So that is it. Another awesome episode of Permission to Kick Ass on the books. If you want to know more about the show, if you want to know more about me, Angie Coley, and the mission I'm on to help entrepreneurs punch fear in the face and do big, bold things, then head on over to permissiontokickass.com. That is all one word together, permissiontokickass.com. Make sure to sign up for my email list so that you know whenever there's a hot, fresh, and ready podcast episode out for you. And also on Mondays, I like to send out a little newsletter called Kick Monday's Ass. I'm sure you're totally surprised by that. So thank you for being here with me today. I'm Angie Coley. Make sure that you share this with a friend that needs to hear this message today. Like it, share it, comment wherever you're listening to this today, and let's go kick some ass.